What if I told you that some of the most common foods in your kitchen, the ones you've been told are healthy, convenient, or harmless, are quietly creating the conditions cancer cells love to grow in? Not by accident, not by genetics, but by environment, the one inside your body. Now, I want to be very clear. Your body is not broken. It is intelligent. It is adaptive. It's always trying to heal. But cancer cells are opportunistic. They don't grow out of control because the body fails. They grow when the internal environment starts feeding them more than it's starving them. And that starts with food, not just junk food, but certain everyday foods that hijack your metabolism, disrupt your insulin sensitivity, and quietly suppress your immune defenses over time. That's especially important if you're over 50, because the older we get, the more vulnerable our metabolic system becomes, and the more easily these food triggers slip under the radar. Most people still believe that cancer is mostly genetic, but modern functional medicine shows something different. Genes load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger, and food is one of the most powerful environmental levers you have. Now here's the twist most people miss. Cancer cells are metabolically different from normal cells. They don't rely on oxygen and fat for energy like your healthy cells do. They thrive on glucose, sugar, and they demand it constantly. That means any food that spikes your insulin, elevates blood sugar, or inflames your tissues is laying out a red carpet for abnormal growth. But that's not the whole story, because even sugar-free diets can still feed cancer if they're rich in inflammatory seed oils, processed proteins, or hidden hormones. You see, what's happening in your body is a complex metabolic dance, and every bite of food either supports your natural healing system or sabotages it. That's why this matters so deeply, especially as we age. The body becomes less forgiving, recovery slows, inflammation rises, cells become more insulin resistant, and if we're not careful, our diet begins quietly shifting the chemistry in favor of cancer, even when we feel fine. But here's the good news. Your body is designed to heal. If you remove what's feeding the problem and restore what supports your metabolism and mitochondria, your body begins to recalibrate. The environment changes and abnormal growth patterns lose their fuel. In today's video, we'll uncover the 6 most overlooked food categories that are known to promote cancer cell activity, not in theory, but in real, measurable physiological ways. We'll also explore what your body actually needs instead. We're going to talk about how certain fats can suppress tumor growth, how fasting alters cancer metabolism, and how your gut microbiome plays a hidden role in either suppressing or stimulating cancer signals. And we'll do it calmly, clearly, and grounded in science, not fear. If you care about sleeping deeper, healing faster, and aging with energy, make sure to watch until the end and subscribe so you don't miss the natural wisdom your body is craving: refined carbohydrates and insulin overload. Your body is designed to run on clean, stable energy. In its natural state, it prefers to burn fat for fuel, especially during rest, sleep, or gentle activity. That's your metabolic baseline. It's slow, stable, and doesn't create inflammation. But when refined carbohydrates enter the system, things like white bread, pastries, boxed cereals, even some granola bars, the body reacts very differently. What happens is this: your blood sugar spikes rapidly, and to manage that spike, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin is like a key. It unlocks your cells so they can absorb the sugar. But cancer cells don't wait politely for the key. They hijack this process. Unlike healthy cells that can burn fat or sugar, cancer cells are metabolically inflexible. They're built to run almost entirely on glucose. That means every time your blood sugar spikes, you're essentially sending cancer cells a delivery of their favorite fuel. Now, one spike might not do much, but repeated spikes day after day, especially in older adults who may already be insulin resistant, create a dangerous loop. Insulin stays elevated longer, sugar lingers in the blood, inflammatory markers increase, and the immune system starts to struggle to detect abnormal cells. This is why so many cancers are now being described as metabolic diseases. Not just genetic, not just random, but driven by internal fuel conditions that we have more control over than we think. If you've ever felt tired after eating, struggled to lose belly fat, or found yourself hungry shortly after a meal, you're likely riding this glucose-insulin roller coaster. The science is clear. Dr. Thomas Seyfried, a leading researcher in cancer metabolism, describes cancer as a disease of damaged mitochondria. Mitochondria are the energy factories of your cells. In healthy cells, mitochondria burn fat and oxygen to make clean energy, but cancer cells tend to lose this function. They rely on fermentation, a dirty, inefficient process that only uses sugar, and they do this even when oxygen is present. This is called the Warburg effect. It's well documented, and it tells us something powerful. If you cut off the sugar supply, you starve cancer cells at their core. So what can you do instead? Begin by lowering your intake of refined carbs, not just sugar, but also hidden starches. Swap white rice for cauliflower rice. Trade breakfast cereal for pasture-raised eggs with avocado. Shift from toast to chia pudding with cinnamon. When you do this, your insulin levels begin to normalize, and that gives your mitochondria a chance to take back control. Even more effective is giving your body windows of time without food. Intermittent fasting isn't just about weight loss, it's a natural metabolic reset. When you fast, insulin drops, growth factors like IGF-1 drop, and something remarkable happens. Your cells start cleaning house. This process is called autophagy, and it's your body's way of breaking down old damaged parts, including precancerous cells. If this is helping you see health differently, tap the like button. It helps us reach more people who need this. There's another benefit to stabilizing insulin. It supports your immune system. Natural killer cells, your body's first defense against cancer, function better in low glucose, low insulin environments. They patrol the body, identifying and eliminating abnormal cells before they become a problem. But when insulin is always high, that defense gets foggy. It's like trying to find a candle in a room full of bright floodlights. The signals get drowned out. One study published in Nature found that high blood sugar directly impairs the ability of immune cells to recognize and attack tumor cells. Think about that. Something as simple as your morning bagel, if repeated daily, could be lowering your body's surveillance system without you even knowing it. So what's the takeaway? It's not about fear, it's about clarity. You don't need to fight your body, just understand it. Your metabolism isn't betraying you, it's responding to your environment. And when you shift the inputs, less refined carbs, more healthy fats, strategic fasting, you change the entire landscape. If you're someone who's been told that blood sugar only matters if you're diabetic, I encourage you to reconsider. Cancer doesn't wait for a diabetes diagnosis, it looks for instability. And the more stable you are metabolically, the more inhospitable your body becomes to abnormal growth. If you're learning something new, subscribe, because there's more natural healing wisdom to come. Seed oils and omega-6 overload. Most people today are consuming oils that didn't even exist a century ago, and our cells are paying the price. When you walk through the grocery store, look at the labels. You'll find soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, and canola oil in almost everything. Salad dressings, crackers, baked goods, even foods marketed as heart healthy. But here's what those labels don't explain. These oils are incredibly high in omega-6 fatty acids. And in high amounts, omega-6 acts like kindling for inflammation. Now, inflammation in small doses is a healing response. But when that flame never goes out, when it's fed daily, it becomes chronic, silent, and deeply destructive. And cancer cells thrive in that environment. They exploit it. Chronic inflammation increases the rate of cell turnover, suppresses immune surveillance, and creates oxidative stress, one of the key triggers for DNA damage and abnormal cell growth. What's happening in your body is this. Every cell membrane is made of fat. When you consume natural stable fats like olive oil, grass-fed butter, or coconut oil, your body uses those to build healthy, resilient cell walls. But when you consume unstable, oxidized seed oils, your cells incorporate those damaged fats instead. And that changes how cells communicate. It changes how they handle insulin. It even changes how immune cells recognize threats. This isn't just theory, it's physiology. A 2019 study published in Cell Metabolism found that high levels of linoleic acid, the primary omega-6 in seed oils, disrupt mitochondrial function and promote pro-cancer signaling pathways. In simpler terms, your energy factories begin to sputter and your cells begin to misfire. Older adults are especially at risk because the body becomes less efficient at clearing out oxidative byproducts with age. The enzymes responsible for detoxifying lipid peroxides like glutathione peroxidase decline over time. That means the damage lingers longer, and every extra molecule of oxidative stress becomes a whisper to your DNA, something's wrong. Now add to this the fact that most of these seed oils are processed under high heat and pressure. They're often bleached and deodorized because the natural smell is rancid. And yet we consume them daily, unknowingly embedding inflammation into our tissues at the cellular level. But you can reverse this. Start by removing the major sources. Toss out processed dressings, fake butter spreads, and anything with vegetable oil on the label. Replace them with real unprocessed fats, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil for cooking, organic ghee, or tallow from grass-fed animals. These fats are stable, anti-inflammatory, and deeply nourishing for your brain, hormones, and immune system. Even more powerful, increase your intake of omega-3s. These are found in wild salmon, sardines, walnuts, and flax seeds. Omega-3s help counterbalance the inflammatory effects of omega-6, and they also directly inhibit certain cancer-promoting pathways, especially those involved in colon, breast, and prostate cancers. If this is resonating with you, consider this. Your body is literally built from the fats you consume. Your brain is 60% fat. Your hormones are synthesized from fats, and your immune cells swim through a lipid-rich environment. Every meal is either stabilizing that system or destabilizing it. That's why we don't just talk about what to avoid, we talk about what to include, because your body doesn't just need less damage, it needs more repair. A protocol that works beautifully, especially for older adults, is this. Use olive oil daily on cooked vegetables, salads, or even drizzled into soups. Avoid cooking with unstable oils at high heat. Instead, sauté with avocado oil or grass-fed butter, and consider a high-quality omega-3 supplement if you're not getting enough from food. One study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that adults who improved their omega-6 to omega-3 ratio had significantly lower levels of inflammatory cytokines. Cytokines are the chemical messengers that either amplify or silence cancer-promoting environments in the body. If this is helping you connect the dots, tap the like button. It tells YouTube that natural healing content like this matters and helps more people find their way back to metabolic balance. Your body is not fragile, but it is responsive. When you change the fats you consume, you change the health of every cell, every organ, and every immune response. And the best part? These changes aren't extreme. They're natural, they're ancestral, and they work with your body, not against it. Subscribe if you're learning something new, because the next step in this healing journey is just as powerful. Casein, A1, dairy proteins, and IGF-1 stimulation. Milk has long been marketed as a health food. Strong bones, good calcium, nature's perfect protein. But like so much in modern nutrition, the truth is more nuanced. Because not all dairy is the same, and not all proteins in dairy behave the same way inside your body. Let's look at the most common type of milk protein, casein, specifically A1 beta-casein. This is the dominant protein found in milk from most cows raised in the US, Australia, and parts of Europe. And it behaves very differently in the human body compared to its older ancestral counterpart, A2 casein. Here's what matters. When A1 casein is digested, it produces a bioactive peptide called beta-casomorphin 7. This molecule can trigger inflammatory responses, especially in the gut. And chronic gut inflammation, as we know, is a quiet but potent contributor to immune dysfunction and metabolic imbalance. But more importantly, A1 dairy consumption has been linked with higher levels of a growth-stimulating hormone called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. And this hormone, while necessary in small amounts for cell repair, becomes problematic when elevated chronically, especially in aging adults. Here's why. IGF-1 tells cells to grow, divide, and multiply. That's a good thing when you're healing a wound or recovering from exercise. But it's a dangerous thing when there are already precancerous or abnormal cells in the body, because IGF-1 doesn't discriminate. It doesn't ask if a cell is healthy or not, it just tells it to grow. And when older adults consume A1 dairy regularly, cheese, yogurt, milk, whey shakes, their IGF-1 levels can stay elevated longer than nature intended. A study published in the journal Cancer Epidemiology, Biomarkers and Prevention found that elevated IGF-1 levels were strongly associated with increased risk of prostate and breast cancers, not because IGF-1 causes cancer directly, but because it creates an environment where abnormal cells are encouraged to thrive. This isn't about fear, it's about understanding physiology. Your body already has a system for monitoring abnormal growth. It's called apoptosis, programmed cell death. It's how the body recycles damaged cells before they become a problem. But when IGF-1 levels stay too high, this natural self-destruct mechanism gets suppressed. Cells that should have been cleared out stick around, and in the presence of inflammation or DNA damage, they can begin to behave abnormally. So what can you do? First, understand that not all dairy is harmful. In fact, many older adults do very well with raw A2 dairy from goats, sheep, or heritage cows. These forms don't produce the same inflammatory peptides, and they don't spike IGF-1 in the same way. They also contain higher levels of beneficial enzymes and fat-soluble vitamins that support immune health. Second, reduce your intake of high IGF-1 dairy sources, especially low-fat milk, processed cheese, and commercial whey protein powders. These are concentrated forms of A1 casein, and often stripped of the natural fats that help regulate hormone signaling.
Instead, if you tolerate dairy, opt for full-fat fermented options like kefir or plain sheep's milk yogurt. These have natural probiotics that aid digestion and support gut lining integrity, reducing the inflammatory response. Also, consider taking breaks from dairy altogether, especially if you notice sinus congestion, joint pain, or sluggish digestion. These can be signs of dairy sensitivity, often masked until inflammation builds up over time. There's another strategy that works hand in hand with reducing IGF-1, time-restricted eating. When you compress your eating window, say between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m., you naturally lower IGF-1 levels throughout the night. Fasting triggers a hormone called FOXO3, which encourages cellular repair and suppresses abnormal growth pathways. If you're finding this eye-opening, please like this video so we can keep this natural healing message going strong. Remember, your body doesn't want to grow endlessly, it wants to balance growth with repair, but modern food, especially ultra-processed dairy, disrupts that balance. It pushes the gas pedal without ever touching the brakes. But when you listen to your body, slow down the stimulation, and honor its rhythms, something amazing happens. IGF-1 levels normalize, inflammation cools, immune cells work more efficiently, and the risk of abnormal cell growth drops, naturally without medications or fear. Subscribe if you want more practical science-backed steps to age stronger and live longer, because this journey is just getting started.
Ultra-processed meats with hidden nitrites. When people think of cancer-causing foods, they rarely picture what's in their lunchbox. A turkey sandwich, a few slices of bacon with eggs, a quick snack of beef jerky. These seem harmless, often even high in protein. But what's hidden inside these processed meats is far more concerning than most people realize. The real issue isn't the meat itself, it's what's been added to preserve it, flavor it, and keep it shelf-stable. The biggest offender, nitrites and nitrates. These are compounds added to cured and smoked meats to prevent spoilage and give that bright pink color. But when they enter your digestive tract, especially in the presence of heat and stomach acid, they can convert into something called nitrosamines. And nitrosamines are among the most studied dietary carcinogens we know. What happens in your body is subtle but powerful. As these nitrosamines accumulate, they can damage the DNA inside your colon cells. The more frequently this happens, the more your body must rely on repair mechanisms. But with age, those mechanisms slow down. DNA repair enzymes don't work as efficiently, inflammation lingers longer, and small mutations begin to add up. Now imagine this happening daily. A slice of ham here, a hot dog there. Even lean deli meats marketed as healthy often contain these additives. Over time, your gut lining, the very barrier between you and the outside world, starts to break down. And that's where things get dangerous. Your gut is more than a digestive tube. It's home to 70% of your immune system. It decides what's friend or foe. And when it's inflamed by constant exposure to nitrosamines and other food chemicals, its ability to regulate immune surveillance begins to falter. That opens the door not just to cancer, but to autoimmunity, fatigue, and slow tissue repair. Older adults are more vulnerable here. As stomach acid naturally declines with age, digestion becomes less efficient. Proteins aren't broken down completely, and poorly digested meat particles can ferment in the gut, fueling harmful bacteria and increasing toxic byproducts like ammonia and secondary bile acids, which are also linked to colon cancer development. But here's the good news. Your gut responds quickly to change. Within days of removing processed meats and additives, inflammation markers begin to drop, the mucosal lining begins to rebuild, and beneficial bacteria start to repopulate, especially when you feed them fiber-rich plants like leafy greens, garlic, leeks, and fermented foods. If this information is helping you connect what's happening in your kitchen to what's happening in your body, hit the like button. It helps us reach more people on the same healing path. Now let's talk solutions. First, when you eat meat, eat it whole and unprocessed. Think pasture-raised beef, organic chicken, or wild-caught salmon. Cook it gently, avoid charring, which creates other carcinogens like heterocyclic amines, and always pair meats with antioxidant-rich vegetables. Cruciferous plants like broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage contain compounds that help neutralize carcinogens before they damage DNA. Second, consider adding detox supportive nutrients. Chlorophyll from leafy greens, sulforaphane from sprouts, and NAC-N-acetylcysteine all support your liver in processing out these toxic byproducts more efficiently. Remember, detoxification isn't about a juice cleanse, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do what it's already programmed to do, protect you, and And if you're transitioning away from deli meats or bacon, don't worry about losing protein. There are deeply nourishing alternatives: sardines packed in olive oil, boiled eggs from pasture-raised hens, lentil soups or bone broth with collagen and minerals that support gut healing. A 2020 study in the British Medical Journal followed over 500,000 people and found that those who consumed the most processed meat had a significantly higher risk of colorectal and pancreatic cancers, even when controlling for smoking and other lifestyle factors. This isn't a scare tactic, it's a metabolic signal. Your body is asking for real food, clean fuel, predictable rhythms, and when you take away the daily irritants, the healing begins faster than you think. If you're new here and want more natural, science-backed ways to protect your health, subscribe now, because this isn't just about avoiding disease, it's about building a resilient body from the inside out. Alcohol and acetaldehyde toxicity. We often think of alcohol as a lifestyle choice, a way to unwind, a glass of wine with dinner, a social drink with friends, and in moderation, it's often assumed to be harmless. Some even believe it can be healthy. But what's happening inside your body tells a different story, especially as you age. Let's look at what alcohol really becomes once it passes your lips. Within minutes, your liver begins the task of converting it into a compound called acetaldehyde. This molecule is highly reactive. It binds to proteins, DNA, and enzymes. It disrupts cellular structure, and it's classified by the World Health Organization as a Group 1 carcinogen, meaning it's known to cause cancer in humans. Your liver has a second line of defense, an enzyme called aldehyde dehydrogenase, which breaks down acetaldehyde into a safer compound, acetate. But here's the problem. As you age, this enzyme often becomes less efficient, whether due to genetic differences, nutrient deficiencies, or accumulated oxidative stress. Your ability to neutralize acetaldehyde weakens. That means more of it lingers in your system, and the longer it stays, the more damage it can do. You may not feel it in the moment, but cellularly it's causing microtrauma to your gut lining, to your brain tissue, to your DNA. That glass of wine might seem relaxing, but to your cells it's a chemical stressor. This is especially important for older adults because alcohol impacts detox pathways that are already slowing with age. Glutathione, your body's master antioxidant, gets depleted when alcohol is processed. This leaves your mitochondria more exposed to oxidative damage, the very kind of damage that can trigger cellular mutations, or worse, allow mutated cells to go undetected. The evidence is well established. A major analysis in the Lancet Oncology found that even low to moderate alcohol intake increases the risk of several cancers, including esophageal, liver, breast, and colorectal. Not because alcohol itself is toxic, but because its byproducts directly damage the very systems responsible for cellular repair. And it's not just about the liver. Alcohol affects estrogen metabolism in women, increases cortisol production, and alters the gut microbiome in ways that promote inflammation. In men, it suppresses testosterone and increases insulin resistance. Over time, these hormonal imbalances contribute to cancer-promoting environments. So what can you do? First, become intentional with alcohol. This isn't about strict abstinence, it's about respecting your body's limits. If you choose to drink, give your body time to fully clear it before the next exposure. Hydrate deeply. Support your liver with nutrients like milk thistle, N-acetylcysteine NAC, and B vitamins, which are often depleted by alcohol metabolism. Second, prioritize sleep after drinking. Alcohol might help you fall asleep, but it disrupts REM and deep sleep cycles, both critical for immune function and tissue repair. If you've been struggling with sleep quality, even light alcohol use could be part of the reason. Third, consider replacing alcohol with calming alternatives. Herbal teas with lemon balm or chamomile, magnesium drinks, or adaptogenic blends with ashwagandha can create a genuine sense of relaxation without the cellular burden. If this is helping you see your body differently, hit the like button so others can begin protecting their biology too. Here's a practical protocol for those transitioning away from alcohol. For every drink you used to have, try creating a ritual replacement, a non-alcoholic elixir with herbs and citrus, a quiet moment of breath work or meditation, a walk in nature before bed. These small rituals not only soothe the nervous system, they rewire the brain's association with relaxation. Over time, your body begins to recalibrate, inflammation lowers, liver enzymes normalize, mental clarity returns, and perhaps most importantly, your cellular defense systems, the ones that scan for abnormal growth, begin working with greater precision. The human body doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for consistency, rest, and respect for its detox systems. When you give it that,
it responds, often faster than you expect.
If you're finding this message helpful and want more tools for natural aging and healing, subscribe now. There's so much more to explore on this path of clarity and calm longevity. Estrogen mimicking compounds in processed soy and plastic. Your body is a symphony of hormones, subtle, precise messengers that guide everything from energy and metabolism to mood and immune function. And as you age, that hormonal symphony becomes more delicate. A slight shift in one signal can ripple through your entire physiology. That's why this final category of cancer-promoting inputs is so often missed and so important to address. I'm talking about estrogen-mimicking compounds, chemicals that look and act like estrogen in the body but aren't real estrogen. These compounds are found in two major places: processed soy products and in plastic packaging. Let's start with soy. In its traditional fermented form like tempeh, miso, or natto, soy can be part of a healthy diet, but the highly processed forms of soy that dominate modern food, soy protein isolate, soy flour, textured vegetable protein, behave very differently. These forms are stripped, concentrated, and often genetically modified, and when consumed in large amounts, especially without balancing fiber or fat, they flood the body with plant-based estrogen-like molecules called phytoestrogens. Here's where it gets tricky. These phytoestrogens can bind to your body's estrogen receptors, and depending on your hormonal status, they can either weakly stimulate those receptors or block them. That might sound harmless, but over time, especially in a body already dealing with hormonal fluctuations like postmenopausal women or aging men with low testosterone, this low-level stimulation can alter the balance of cell signaling. That balance matters. Excess estrogen activity, whether from your own body, food, or synthetic chemicals, is strongly linked to hormone-sensitive cancers like breast, prostate, ovarian, and uterine. Not because estrogen is bad, but because the wrong kind in the wrong amount over time sends the body mixed signals. Now layer on top of that another source, plastics. Many common food containers, water bottles, coffee lids, and canned food linings contain compounds like BPA, bisphenol A, or BPS, both of which have been shown to mimic estrogen in the body. Even low-level exposure repeated over time can disrupt natural hormone function. One study in Environmental Health Perspectives found that over 90% of Americans had detectable levels of BPA in their urine. That means this isn't a fringe issue, it's an everyday exposure. What happens inside the body is subtle but profound. These xenoestrogens can alter how cells grow, how tissues repair, and how DNA responds to environmental cues. In older adults who are already more hormonally sensitive, these disruptions can tilt the environment towards cellular instability. That's the seedbed for abnormal growth. So what can you do? First, reduce your exposure. Avoid heating food in plastic containers. Use glass or stainless steel water bottles. Choose BPA-free packaging when you can, but be cautious because BPA-free doesn't always mean safe. Some substitutes like BPAs may be just as harmful. The safest route is to minimize plastic contact with food altogether, especially when heat is involved. Second, be selective with soy. Favor fermented soy in small amounts and avoid ultra-processed soy found in protein bars, fake meats, or packaged snacks. If you rely on plant-based proteins, rotate with hemp, pea, or rice protein that's minimally processed and ideally organic. Third, support your body's natural detox systems. Your liver is constantly filtering out excess estrogens, but it needs the right raw materials to do the job. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and arugula contain compounds like DIM and sulforaphane that enhance estrogen detox. Ground flaxseed helps bind and remove estrogenic compounds through the gut. And regular movement, especially walking and strength training, helps regulate hormonal rhythms and improve insulin sensitivity. If this is making you think differently about your environment, like this video, you're not just changing your habits, you're rewiring your biology. And remember, your body doesn't just respond to hormones, it adapts to how those hormones are delivered. When you clear out the noise, the fake signals, it can return to its own rhythm. That rhythm is your best protection. A final tip, try a 30-day plastic detox. Remove plastic storage containers, avoid bottled beverages, and prepare more meals at home with clean, whole ingredients. Most people are amazed by the difference in how they sleep, think, and feel. These small shifts create space for your natural healing systems to reawaken. Subscribe if you're ready to take these next steps with us. Because healing isn't about one food, one product, or one habit. It's about removing the constant friction and allowing your body to do what it already knows how to do. Here is the conclusion. You've just taken a deep dive into how certain foods and chemicals alter your internal environment, how they feed not just your cells but your cellular cellular behavior. And if there's one powerful truth that ties all of this together, it's this. Cancer isn't just about genes, it's about conditions. Your body is not broken, it's responsive. It listens carefully to the signals you send it every day through food, light, sleep, stress, and movement. Cancer cells don't thrive randomly. They thrive in environments where inflammation is high, where insulin is chronically elevated, where detox systems are overwhelmed, and where immune signals are dulled by overload. The most common foods in the modern world, refined carbs, processed oils, altered dairy proteins, chemical-laden meats, alcohol, and hormone-disrupting plastics are creating those exact conditions, quietly, consistently, and often without symptoms until it's too late. But the good news, the empowering, hopeful, deeply physiological truth is that these conditions can be changed. When you lower insulin through food awareness and time-restricted eating, your metabolism shifts from sugar burning to fat burning. That shift alone makes your internal environment far less hospitable to abnormal growth. When you remove oxidized seed oils and instead nourish your cells with stable healing fats, you reduce systemic inflammation and repair the very membranes that control hormone sensitivity, immune responses, and cellular energy. When you avoid A1 dairy and processed meats, you reduce chronic IGF-1 stimulation and chemical damage to your gut lining, two of the strongest cancer-promoting mechanisms we understand in nutritional science. When you support your liver through clean food, smart supplementation, and stress reduction, you give your detox pathways a chance to do what they're designed to do, clear out the compounds that don't belong in a body designed for balance. And when you become aware of how hidden estrogens and soy and plastic disrupt the harmony of your hormonal system, you begin to see that your environment is either healing you or hurting you, one choice at a time. None of this has to happen all at once. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight, but you do need to start listening more closely to the quiet language of your body. What's happening in your body is not a mystery, it's chemistry, it's messaging. And the good news is, those messages can be rewritten with small daily decisions that stack over time into resilience, clarity, and long-term protection. So here's your natural health challenge. Over the next 72 hours, choose 2 things to remove and 2 things to add. Remove any processed food with seed oils or refined sugars. Just check the labels, you'll see them. Remove deli meats, packaged snacks, or sweetened beverages. Add a handful of cruciferous vegetables each day and a 14-hour overnight fast. Finish your dinner by 7 p.m. and don't eat again until 9 a.m. the next morning. This simple rhythm lowers insulin, supports autophagy, and gives your mitochondria the break they need to repair. Track how you sleep, how you feel in the morning, how your digestion responds. These aren't just small shifts. These are signals to your immune system, your liver, your gut lining, signals that the internal environment is changing. That balance is being restored. That healing is not only possible, it's already beginning. Cancer is complex, but your response doesn't have to be. You don't need to fear your body. You need to understand it. And when you do, you begin to feel something even more powerful than motivation. Trust. Trust that your cells still remember how to function. Trust that your tissues are capable of repair. Trust that your wisdom, your body's natural wisdom, is not gone. It's simply waiting to be heard again. If you found this helpful, let us know in the comments. What will you try first? And don't forget to subscribe and join this journey of natural healing and healthy aging. Your body is ready. You just need to give it what it needs. You are not fighting disease. You are restoring the conditions where health thrives. And that is one of the most empowering things you can do, not just for your future, but for today.